Attorney Ben Crump wants a grand jury to review the death of Daniel Erving.
Send it to a grand jury, build the case, argue it zealously, just as if it was your child.
Crump has joined the Erving family's legal team 3 months after the 18-year-old drowned at Lake Ray Hubbard. Police have charged 19-year-old Lucas Roper and a 16-year-old with tampering with physical evidence. An arrest warrant alleges Daniel's clothes and cell phone were discarded and that Roper deleted communications with Daniel. Neither teen has been charged with causing his death. The family also released surveillance video and says it shows Daniel getting into a car with the two teens. Daniel's mother became alarmed when his phone went dark.
I said it's just suspicious. He's not answering his texts. He's not answering his phone.
The medical examiner ruled Erving's death here an accidental drowning. But Crump says the discarded cell phone and clothing and the deleted messages between Roper and Erving warrant a deeper review.
I think the prosecutor can make the case if they have the will to make the case.
The DA's office says it doesn't comment on pending cases. In Dallas, I'm Luke Clary.
If you're not guilty of anything, why would you hide the evidence? Why would you delete his telephone, text messages? Why would you throw his clothes inside the tree line, on a tree line? My child was left abandoned.
One of the attorneys for 19-year-old suspect Lucas Roper promised us the statement, but we have yet to receive it. No one has been charged with causing Daniel's death.
Daniel Erving, sometimes reported as Daniel Erving, an 18-year-old young man from the Dallas, Texas area whose death has raised serious questions. What happened to Daniel Erving? Daniel drowned in April 2026 at a lake in North Texas. His death was initially classified by the Dallas County Medical Examiner's Office as an accidental drowning. However, Daniel's family has strongly questioned what happened and has been seeking a deeper investigation. According to investigators and the arrest affidavit, Daniel had been with 2 other young men. After Daniel drowned, authorities allege that the 2 companions left the scene rather than immediately reporting what happened. Investigators also allege that Daniel's phone and clothing were discarded and communications involving Daniel were deleted. That is particularly important because the issue isn't simply, did Daniel drown? The bigger questions are, what happened immediately before and after he went into the water, why his companions didn't immediately call for help, and why evidence was allegedly discarded. Arrests. On July 9th, 2026, roughly 3 months after Daniel's death, authorities arrested Lucas Roper, 19, a 17-year-old juvenile. Both were charged with tampering with physical evidence, a third-degree felony. Importantly, they were not charged with causing Daniel's death at that point. According to the affidavit, Roper told detectives that he panicked after Daniel drowned and that he and the juvenile left. Investigators say he also acknowledged deleting communications with Daniel because he knew there would be an investigation and didn't want to get into trouble. Daniel's mother, Tameka Erving, has been demanding what she calls whole justice for her son. Her family and attorney Ben Crump have questioned whether Daniel's death should ultimately be treated as something more than an accident. And there's an important distinction. The available reporting does not establish that Daniel was murdered. Daniel Erving was 18 years old. He was a high school senior and a member of his school's swim team. Here is the case in chronological order, including the parts that have caused Daniel's family to question the official explanation. April 13th, 2026. Daniel goes to Lake Ray Hubbard. Daniel Erving was in the Dallas area community of Rolette, Texas. On April 13th, he went to Lake Ray Hubbard with 19-year-old Lucas Roper and a juvenile who was 16-17 at the time, depending on the reporting/court records. According to the arrest affidavit, the 3 went to the lake for fishing and swimming and eventually jumped from a railroad bridge into the water. Daniel went underwater and did not come back up. The autopsy report later provided a particularly important detail. Investigators were told that Daniel surfaced once and called for help before becoming submerged again. He did not resurface. What happened afterward is where this case becomes troubling. According According to the arrest affidavit, Roper and the other young man did not call 911 or immediately report Daniel's drowning. Instead, investigators allege that they left the lake in Roper's vehicle. Police say Daniel's clothing was thrown into a nearby tree line, and his cell phone was thrown from the vehicle into a ditch. Investigators later recovered those items. And there's another major piece of evidence. Roper allegedly deleted his communications with Daniel from his phone. According to the affidavit, Roper told detectives he deleted the communications because he knew there would be an investigation and didn't want to get into trouble. April 17th. Daniel's body was recovered from Lake Ray Hubbard 4 days after he disappeared. That 4-day gap is one of the things that makes the family's concerns understandable. Had authorities been called immediately, the search and recovery operation could have begun right away. July. Arrests. Nearly 3 months later, police arrested Lucas Roper, 19, and a juvenile who was with him. But here's something extremely important. They were not arrested or charged with Daniel's murder. They were charged with tampering with physical evidence based on allegations that they disposed of Daniel's belongings and concealed or deleted evidence. What did the medical examiner conclude? This is where we have to separate what is officially established from what Daniel's family believes happened. The Dallas County Medical Examiner determined that Daniel's cause of death was drowning and the manner of death was accidental. The autopsy report also says that despite initial suspicions, there are currently no suspicions of foul play. However, it specifically leaves open the possibility that the cause or manner of death could be amended if additional information comes to light. Why does Daniel's family disagree? Daniel's mother, Tamika Erving, and the family's attorneys are asking for a much deeper investigation. One of the major questions they're asking is essentially, if Daniel's death was simply a tragic accident, why did the two people who were with him leave without calling for help, dispose of his clothes and phone, and delete communications? That is a legitimate question about the post-drowning conduct, although it does not by itself prove that they caused Daniel's death. The family also points out that Daniel was a strong swimmer and a member of his high school swim team, which makes them question how he ended up drowning. The biggest unanswered questions. At this point, I think these are the questions worth watching. 1. Why didn't Roper and the juvenile call 911 immediately? 2. Why were Daniel's clothes and phone allegedly discarded? 3. Why did Roper delete his communications with Daniel? 4. What exactly happened between Daniel jumping into the lake and disappearing underwater? 6. Were there other witnesses or surveillance video evidence around the railroad bridge? 7. Could the evidence tampering investigation uncover information that changes the medical examiner's conclusion? And there has been a recent legal development. A Dallas County grand jury has reportedly indicted Roper on the evidence tampering charge. That is significant because the case is continuing through the criminal justice system, even though there is still no murder charge against him. So as of now, the official finding is accidental drowning, but the circumstances surrounding Daniel's death and the conduct of the two people who were with him remain under investigation. What Lucas Roper reportedly told police. According to the affidavit, Roper told detectives that he, Daniel Erving, and the other teenager went to Lake Ray Hubbard on April 13th and jumped from a railroad bridge into the water. Roper's account was that Daniel drowned after going into the lake. Roper said he panicked and that he and the other teenager left instead of reporting the drowning. But then comes the part that investigators apparently found significant. Roper allegedly threw Daniel's clothes into a tree line. He allegedly told the younger teenager to get rid of Daniel's cell phone. The phone was reportedly thrown from the vehicle and later recovered. Roper allegedly deleted all of his communications with Daniel from his own phone. When detectives asked why, Roper reportedly said he knew there would be an investigation and didn't want to get into trouble. What the younger teenager reportedly told police. This is where the stories become particularly interesting. The younger teenager reportedly told investigators that Roper was the one who threw Daniel's clothes into the tree line. He also reportedly said that Roper instructed him to throw Daniel's cell phone out of the vehicle. Investigators later recovered the phone and some of Daniel's clothing after the younger teenager showed them where they had been discarded. So, According to the affidavit, both accounts put Roper at the center of the disposal of Daniel's belongings, although the younger teenager was allegedly involved in throwing away the phone. And there is another troubling detail. The medical examiner's report says Daniel surfaced once and called out for help before becoming submerged and never resurfacing. He was eventually recovered from the lake on April 17th. That detail raises an obvious question. If Daniel was calling for help, what exactly were the other two doing at that moment? There are three different things here. 1. What is established? Daniel drowned. The medical examiner ruled the manner of death accidental. 2. What police allege? The two people with Daniel failed to report the drowning and subsequently disposed of his belongings, and Roper deleted communications with Daniel. Those allegations resulted in evidence tampering charges. 3. What has not been established? There is currently no public evidence establishing that Roper or the younger teenager murdered Daniel. The family believes the circumstances warrant a murder investigation, but that is different from proving a homicide. The medical examiner actually left an important door open. The report says that if additional information comes to light, the cause and/or manner of death could be amended. And I understand why Daniel's mother is questioning this. Her concern isn't simply that her son drowned. It's what happened afterward, and why two people who supposedly witnessed an accidental drowning would leave, dispose of his property, and delete communications, rather than call for help. Daniel Erving was black, and the two young men who were with him were white. A recent Mississippi Today report specifically says Daniel's mother remembered him leaving with two white friends. Another report identifies the two as 19-year-old Lucas Roper and a 16-year-old juvenile, and describes both as white. So the three young men were Daniel Erving, black; Lucas Roper, white; the 16-year-old juvenile, white. That racial context is also why Daniel's case has been discussed alongside the Nolan Wells case. Both involved young black men who died while in the company of white associates, and their families are seeking answers about circumstances surrounding their deaths.
Before you leave, if you believe Daniel Erving's story deserves to be heard, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with others. Your support helps bring important stories like Daniel's to more people and keeps his name from being forgotten. Leave your thoughts in the comments and let me know what you think about the questions surrounding Daniel's death. Say his name, Daniel Erving. Rest in peace, Daniel. We will continue to say your name.